It takes just one breath, one trembling second, for a life to be stolen, and for another to be destroyed. Before we begin, like this video, subscribe to our channel and comment where you are watching from. Your support will help us come up with more powerful stories. Now let's begin. On that day, the sun in Albuquerque was a white-hot disk of judgment, hanging low in the sky, bleeding heat across cracked sidewalks and faded rooftops. The air was dry and mean, the kind of day when tempers don't just flare, they ignite and consume. On that concrete stage, three people, strangers, family, and fate-bound, crossed paths for the last time. Kristina Withrow stood at the doorway of her small, sagging apartment building. 45 years old, with heavy lines etched into her face by 1,000 bad choices, she was not a woman of patience. Life had stripped it from her long ago, layer by layer, until all that remained was anger. It festered inside her, a deep rot she had learned to carry like an old friend. Across the walkway, sitting against the wall in the only strip of shade left, was Monique Garcia. Monique was 36, her face gaunt but still carrying traces of the girl she once was. Someone who had laughed freely once, someone who had dreamed of better things. But the streets have no mercy, and neither did time. To Kristina, Monique wasn't a person anymore. She was an inconvenience, a stain on the landscape. Kristina didn't see the woman who had once sung in the choir. She didn't see the girl who had wanted to be a nurse. She saw only a problem, a homeless woman in her space. And Kristina had learned one thing in her life: when faced with a problem, crush it. The words between them started small, a warning, a demand to move on. But pride is a fire, and desperation is gasoline. "I ain't going nowhere," Monique muttered, her voice cracked and rough like gravel. "You will," Kristina hissed back, "one way or another." Inside the apartment, Kristian Crespin, just 18, sat on the threadbare couch, half listening. Kristina's son, her only boy, the one she had sworn she'd protect from the ugliness of the world. The one she was about to betray in the most irreversible way possible. She stormed inside, eyes wild, mouth tight, and went to the drawer. The drawer everyone pretends doesn't exist. The one that holds cold, deadly solutions to momentary problems. Kristina didn't hesitate. She pulled out the handgun. She turned to Kristian, and she said the words that would damn them both. "Shoot her." Kristian froze. In that second, everything could have ended differently. He could have dropped the gun. He could have said no. He could have run. But blood is thick. Loyalty to your mother is a chain not easily broken. And so, shaking, eyes wide, Kristian stepped outside. The heat shimmered on the pavement. Monique stood slowly, confused, defiant. 3 shots rang out. Sharp, merciless cracks that split the dry air and sent birds screaming into the sky. Monique Garcia collapsed. Her body hit the ground hard, the life leaving her before she could even process what had happened. Her blood pooled, seeping into the cracks of the sidewalk, dark and final. Across the courtyard, windows slammed shut. Phones rang into the buzzing summer air. Sirens began their distant wail, growing louder, growing inevitable. Kristina stood over her son. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. For the first time in years, she was speechless. For the first time, the rage had nowhere to go. The arrest. When police arrived, Kristina Withrow had already rehearsed her story. "I shot her," she said calmly, trying to wrap the guilt around herself like a shield. "It was me." But truth is a stubborn thing. Witnesses spoke. They told of a young man, trembling, holding the gun. They told of the mother, shouting, commanding. Kristina's story crumbled. Under the harsh lights of the interrogation room, she cracked, her voice betraying her. "I told him to do it." The officers barely blinked. They had seen this before, not often, but enough to recognize the sick, twisted reality. Sometimes evil isn't born. Sometimes it's taught. Sometimes it's demanded. Kristian Crespin was arrested and charged. His mother was too. 2 lives, linked by blood, severed by violence. The courtroom. The trial was a slow, brutal affair. Kristian Crespin stood before the judge, shoulders slumped. A boy in a man's body, carrying the unbearable weight of his mother's command. He pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. The court sentenced him to 18 years, a number that meant he would leave prison as a middle-aged man, a boyhood buried behind concrete walls and iron bars. Kristina Withrow fought harder. She wanted to deny it. She wanted to say it wasn't murder. It was fear or misunderstanding or bad luck. But the evidence was a mountain. The witnesses were a choir. And the jury, somber and furious, found her guilty on all charges. Second-degree murder with a firearm enhancement. Aggravated assault. Tampering with evidence. Each word carved another piece off her future. The sentence? Not yet delivered. But Kristina Withrow would not walk free again. That much was certain. The aftermath. And what of Monique Garcia? The world forgot her name within days. The news cycle rolled on, devouring new tragedies with feral hunger. But her absence rippled outward like a stone thrown into still water. At the tiny church she once sang in, an old pastor lit a candle for her. On the corner where she fell, a neighbor, who never learned her name while she was alive, left a bundle of cheap plastic flowers. Life moved on. The sidewalk was cleaned, the stain washed away. But the city remembered quietly in the way the streets feel a little colder, a little meaner after something like that. And Kristian? He will remember forever. Each day a grim replay of the moment his mother's voice cut across his conscience. And Kristina? She will spend her remaining years behind bars. Her son's broken youth the final monument to her rage. Takes just 1 second, 1 breath, 1 whispered command. And in that space evil is born. Not from monsters lurking in shadows, but from the ones we trusted most. From the ones who should have known better. From mothers. This is the true cost of rage left unchecked. This is the true crime of Kristina Withrow.